Welcome to the Novel Garden. Learn every chapter with easy summaries and helpful analysis to understand every story deeply. Today, I bring you the summary and analysis of Oliver Twist, written by Charles Dickens. This novel was first published in England between 1837 and 1839. Oliver Twist is born as a weak baby in a workhouse. A parish doctor and a drunk nurse are present at the time of his birth. His mother kisses him once and then dies. The nurse says that Oliver's mother was found lying on the street the night before. The doctor notices that she is not wearing a wedding ring. The authorities at the workhouse send Oliver to a branch workhouse meant for juvenile offenders against the poor laws. Mrs. Munn, who is in charge, receives enough money for each child's care, but she keeps most of it for herself and allows the children to remain hungry, sometimes even letting them die. When Oliver turns 9, Mr. Bumble, a church official known as the parish beadle, tells Mrs. Munn that Oliver is now too old to stay there. Since no one knows who his parents are, he must be sent back to the main workhouse. Mrs. Munn wonders how the boy even got his name. Mr. Bumble explains that he keeps a list of names in alphabetical order and gives names to orphans from that list as they are born. Mrs. Munn brings Oliver forward, while Mr. Bumble is not watching. She threatened him with an angry look and a raised fist, so he does not speak about the bad condition of her place. Before Oliver leaves, she gives him some bread and butter, so that he does not appear too hungry when he reaches the workhouse. The workhouse gives the poor a chance to die slowly, instead of starving quickly on the street. Because many people die there, the cost of funeral becomes a major expense. Oliver and the other children suffer from long-lasting hunger. One evening, during dinner, a boy says that he does not get more gruel. He might eat one of them. Frightened, the boys decide by drawing lots that one of them must ask for extra food. Oliver is chosen. After the meal, the other boys force him to ask for more food. His request shocks the officials so much that they offer £5 to anyone willing to take him away. In the parish, Oliver is beaten and then shut in a dark room as a warning to others. A cruel chimney sweep named Mr. Gamefield offers to take Oliver as an apprentice, since several boys have already died while working for him. The board thinks £5 is too much money and reduces it to a little over £3. Mr. Bumble and Mr. Gamefield and Oliver go before a magistrate to complete the agreement. At the last moment, the magistrate notices that Oliver looks pale and frightened. He asks why the boy is so scared. Oliver falls to his knees and begs to be locked up, beaten, or even killed instead of being sent with Mr. Gamefield. The magistrate refuses to allow, and the workhouse officials once again announce that Oliver is available. The workhouse board thinks about sending Oliver to sea as a cabin boy, believing he would soon die in such a harsh condition. Instead, Mrs. Mr. Sowerberry, that parish undertaker, agrees to take Oliver as an apprentice. Mr. Bumble warns Oliver that he will face serious punishment if he ever complains. Mrs. Sowerberry comments that Oliver is very small. Mr. Bumble replies that he will grow, but she complains that he will only grow by eating their food. She gives Oliver the leftover food that even the dog refused to eat. Oliver eats it eagerly as if it were a wonderful meal. Afterward, Mrs. Sowerberry takes him to his bed, feeling worried about how big his appetite is. In the morning, Noah Claypole, Mr. Sowerberry's apprentice, wakes Oliver. During breakfast, Noah and Charlotte the maid makes fun of Oliver. Later, Oliver goes with Mr. Sowerberry to arrange a poor person's funeral. The husband of the dead woman speaks sadly about her death. She died from starvation, and when he tried to beg for help, he was sent to prison. The dead woman's mother asked for some bread and a cloak to wear at the funeral. At the graveyard before the funeral begins, some poorly dressed boys jump over the coffins for fun. Mr. Bumble beat a few of them. The clergyman completes the funeral service very quickly. Mr. Bumble then pushes the grieving family out of the cemetery, and Mr. Sowerberry takes back the clock from the dead woman's mother. After seeing all this, Oliver feels that he does not like the undertaking business at all. A measles outbreak spread, and Oliver gets a lot of work in the undertaking businesses. His master dresses him neatly so he can take part in funeral procession. Oliver observed that the families of rich, old people do not stay sad for long after the funeral. Noah becomes more and more jealous of Oliver's quick progress. One day, he insults Oliver's dead mother. In anger, Oliver attacks him. Charlotte and Mrs. Sowerberry comes to help Noah, and together they beat Oliver and lock him in the cellar. Noah runs to call Mr. Bumble, crying loudly so that his injuries from the fight with Oliver seem worse than they really are. Mr. Bumble tells Mrs. Sowerberry that giving Oliver meat has made him too spirited for his position in life. Meanwhile, Oliver, still angry, kicks the cellar door. When Mr. Sowerberry returns home, he beats Oliver and locks up him again. After some time, Oliver's anger turns into tears. Early the next morning, he runs away. As he leaves the town, he passes the workhouse where he once lived and sees his old friend, Dick, in the yard. Dick promises not to tell anyone and says a kind goodbye to him. Oliver decided to walk 70 miles to London over the next 7 days. He becomes weak from hunger, cold, and tiredness. In one village, he sees a sign saying that beggar will be sent to prison. At last, he reaches a small town near London and falls down in a doorway. There he meets a boy of his own age named Jack Dawkins, who behaves and dresses like an adult. Jack buys a good meal for Oliver and tells him about a gentleman in London who will give him a place to stay for free. Oliver finds out that Jake is known as the Artful Dodger. From his appearance, Oliver feels that the Dodger may not be leading a good life. He decided to be polite to the gentleman in London, but plans to leave Jake afterward. That night, the Dodger takes Oliver to a poor and dirty area in London. They go to an old broken house where the Dodger gives a password to enter. Inside, he takes Oliver to a dark and dirty room where an old man named Fagin and some boys are eating dinner. Handkerchiefs are hanging all around the room. The boys smoke pipes and drink alcohol. Even though they are very young, Oliver eats with them and soon falls into a deep sleep. The next morning, Fagin opens a box filled with watches and jewelry. He notices that Oliver is watching him. Suddenly, Fagin grabs a knife and asks Oliver if he had been awake earlier. Oliver says he was asleep, and Fagin becomes calm and friendly again. Soon, the artful Dodgers return with another boy named Charlie Betts. Fagin asks them if they have done good works. The Dodger shows two wallets, and Charlie takes out four handkerchiefs. Fagin says they will teach Oliver how to remove the marks from the handkerchief. Since Oliver does not understand that they are thieves, he believes they are joking around about teaching him a trade. The Dodger and Charlie then practice picking Fagin's pocket. Two young girls, Bet and Nancy, come in and join them for drinks. Fagin gives them some money and send them out again. Later, Fagin allows Oliver to practice taking a handkerchief from his pocket and reward him with a coin for doing it well. For several days, Fagin keeps Oliver inside, training him to pick pockets. Oliver noticed that the Dodger and Charlie are punished if they return without stealing anything. At last, Fagin sends Oliver out with them to begin work. After some time, they see a well-dressed man standing at a basketball and reading. Oliver is shocked when he sees that Dodger and Charlie quietly steal the man's handkerchief. At that moment, Oliver understands that they are thieves. The man turns and sees Oliver running away. Thinking he is the thief, he shouts for help. The Dodger and Charlie also shout, "Stop thief! Stop thief!" and they run after Oliver. A crowd gathers and chases him. A police officer catches Oliver and ignores his claims that he is innocent. The man who was robbed asks the officer not to harm Oliver and follow them to the police station. These chapters strongly criticize how society treated poor people during the Victorian period. Workhouses were created to control, raise poor children, based on the belief that poverty led to bad behavior. Families were often separated to prevent them from having more children. The government and church took responsibility for raising poor children, but the system was harsh and neglectful, leading to suffering rather than care. In the story, the workhouse represents the moral hypocrisy of society, especially the middle class. Mrs. Munn takes money meant for the children and neglects them, giving them very little food and poor clothing. During the Victorian period, cleanliness was considered a sign of good character, and workhouses were meant to improve the lives of the poor. However, in the novel, the workhouse is shown as dirty and unhealthy. Mrs. Mann only pays attention to cleanliness when there is an inspection. Although workhouses were created to protect the poor from hunger, illness and dirt, they actually cause these some problems. Mr. Bumble also shows this hypocrisy. He criticizes Oliver for not being thankful for his terrible situation, even though Bumble himself is well fed and properly dressed. The officials of the workhouse are also comfortable with wealthy looking, yet they insist that the poor should survive on very little food. The middle class characters believe that poor people are naturally bad, dirty and criminal. This belief helps them see themselves as morally superior. The board members even call Oliver a savage and think he will become a criminal. When Oliver asks for more food, they decide to send him to a harsh master, almost hoping that he will die soon, even though they claim to help the poor. Their actions actually make their suffering worse. The workhouse ends up creating the same problems it was meant to solve. One hungry boy jokingly says he might eat another child, showing how extreme hunger affects them. In this way, the workhouse is compared to slavery, where people are given very little to survive and are forced to work. They are also expected to appear thankful for their suffering. When Oliver refuses to accept this quietly, he is treated like property and given away instead of being allowed to live freely. Charles Dickens presents strong criticism of society by using satire and exaggeration. In the novel, strange characters and unfair situations are shown as if they are normal, and he often writes in a way that means the opposite of what he is actually trying to say. For instance, while describing the parish board, he calls them wise, thoughtful, and philosophical men, and suggests that they believe the workhouse is enjoyable for the poor, almost like a place of free entertainment. In reality, Oliver's life in the workhouse is full of suffering, not enjoyment, and the board members are far from wise and thoughtful. By writing in this ironic way, Dickens exposes how the upper class chooses to ignore the hardship faced by poor people. Since helpless children like Oliver cannot fight against such a cruelty, Dickens uses humor and irony to criticize those in power. This method makes their fault more clearly and effective than direct serious criticism. Although Oliver himself does not show much humor, other boys later in the story use wit and cleverness as a way to cope with and resist the unfair society that controls their lives. Noah Claypole's behavior toward Oliver shows how strongly Victorian society focused on class differences. Noah, who comes from a very poor family, is used to being looked down upon by others. However, he feels better when Oliver arrives because Oliver, being an orphan, is in an even lower position than he is. Charles Dickens described Noah's bullying and cowardly nature in an ironic way, suggesting that such qualities can be found even among high-class gentlemen. This shows that pride in social class exists at every level of society. In fact, such behaviors often come from insecurity, as poor people try to feel superior by insulting those who are worse off than themselves. Through Oliver's suffering, Dickens challenges the common belief of that time that poor people are naturally bad, dirty, and criminal. Oliver himself is kind, innocent, and morally good. However, Dickens does not show all poor characters as perfect. For example, Noah represents the negative stereotype of the poor, as the son of a drunkard. He seems to have developed similar bad trait. He is greedy, cowardly, unpleasant, and untidy. In this way, Dickens presents a more realistic picture instead of a simple one. One of Dickens' main purposes in writing Oliver Twist was to reveal the terrible living conditions of the poor. The story often describes dirty and unpleasant surroundings. At one point, Oliver and Mr. Sowerberry visit a poor area to collect a dead body. The houses there are closed and falling apart, showing how neglected the area is. These people have been left behind during the time of the Industrial Revolution. The woman who dies does not starve because of laziness, but because of the harsh economic condition around her. Oliver's fight with Noah is an important moment in his character development. Usually, he is shown as gentleman, innocent and quiet. Sometimes he even seems too perfect. But when he becomes angry and attacks Noah for insulting his mother, he appears more human and emotional. Even though he has never experienced a real family, Oliver still has a strong sense of love, respect for his mother. Dickens suggests that such a feeling are natural and present from birth, not something that must be taught. Oliver's journey to London reflects the movement of poor people towards cities during the Industrial Revolution. Because begging is illegal, Oliver suffers from hunger and exhaustion. which makes him easy to influence. This leads him to accept help from Fagin's group. Even though they are criminals, Dickens suggests that the crime of the poor are partly caused by harsh laws and unfair conditions. Although Fagin's house is dirty and broken, it gives Oliver his first experience of something like a home. The boys share food together, and for once, Oliver is not denied his portion. This creates a strange contrast, where a place connected with crime appears more welcoming than the harsh environment he has known before. On the Novel Garden, I made this audio on Oliver Twist. Next, I will bring you chapter 11 to 20 summary and analysis. तब तक के लिए थैंक यू सो मच. बाय बाय.